Division 3, Delaware Valley. They are in the MAC. And again, different MAC than you might think. The Aggies from Delaware Valley looking to win their 6th consecutive MAC championship in 2023. I don't care what level of football, what
tough.
conference you're in. That shit is really hard. So I guess we can start things off by looking at their 2022 schedule before jumping into the rest of the conversation. I'm trying to find where my mouse is on the screen. There we are. But fellas, the Aggies, 2022, let's take a look at that schedule. 12-1, that one loss, obviously, in the playoffs to Mount Union. But looking through this, talk about a team that put the freaking beat down. They left no question in a lot of these games.
No, not at all.
Absolutely no question. I mean, some of these games,
zip.
like you look at this week 2 game, like, yeah, that's a close little contest right there. But moving on,
41 zip.
42,
I will say,
34.
off the top of my head, not the most competitive conference in the Division 3 scene.
No,
You got a
haven't
couple
heard of
teams.
any
You got
of
a
these
couple
schools.
teams on here like King's College usually has a pretty good squad. I know Lycoming they've got a good squad. I've heard a lot about them. But the most of these teams,
some of
I
these
won't lie to
schools
you.
I've never heard of.
That's part of it. But like I said, it's still a game every week, and it's still when you have this many wins. I was texting with Louie, our new sponsored athlete from Delaware Valley. When you have this many wins, there is a target on your back, especially within that conference.
yeah, for
you
sure.
know if you're
They're
this
like the team to beat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you said, they're the team to beat, so you're going to get the team's best shot. Every single week, you're getting this squad, whether it's Stevenson or Misericordia or Montclair State, you're getting their best shot every single week. I think that's what you have to think about it.
Yeah.
But if we continue to look down the bottom of that schedule there, first round playoffs, that was a tough one for them, wasn't it, against Gallaudet?
They put more points on Gallaudet than they did in any other regular season
Yeah, that's
game.
crazy.
They got into the playoffs and unloaded. That's crazy. But moving on, Randolph, McCann. Man, I wish I
Probably
knew. Macon. Beat them. Close margins on that one. Probably a real competitive game. And then finally, Mount Union in the quarterfinal there. Or would that be semifinal? I believe that is the semifinal. No, that's quarterfinal.
Quarter semi, yeah.
Yes, so that was quarters against Mount Union, who would eventually go on to be in the national championship. But definitely a solid year for them. I don't want to say in any way that this was a disappointment of a year. Now, I'm sure some of those guys on that roster will tell you otherwise, right? Like they thought this was the year they win it all. Guys, the more we talk about them, you might find out that this coming year might be the year for them all. And we talked about the 5 back-to-back conference championships.
That's sweet.
That's what they have to show for it right there.
Some good. The only one I don't like is the fourth.
The green.
The
neon.
The green.
I don't know if I'm sold on the green.
That looks a little tacky, but the other ones those are sweet. I mean, the one with the Alabama A. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you
can we get rid of the Alabama A on that? I don't know where.
Can they even use that?
Out of DVU, like DelVal even is kind of cool, but like, where are we getting the A from? I'm not
Aggies.
really like. It is Aggies. That's got to be it.
Oh yeah, the Aggies is on a few of them.
Yeah.
The one on the right.
Yeah.
I like the far right one the most. Simple.
All the way on the right.
Yeah.
I see. I like the left, and I actually like.
I like the middle. I like the middle. Look at us, diverse opinions out here. I think that middle one's hard. DelVal is dope.
I actually like the neon green one.
All right. Well, we can move on.
You'd have to be off the podcast soon.
But certainly the hardware to show for it for the Aggies out of Delaware Valley. And before we look at the 2023 schedule for that squad, let's look at some of the returners. I'm texting Louie, and before we talk about some of the other guys that we are going to talk about, let's talk about Louie himself. And I will say he was not the one that said, "Oh, you guys need to talk about me for next year." He didn't mention himself at all, but he knew I was going to talk about him anyways. The quarterback for the squad, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 2,400 yards passing, 472 rushing. Really good stat line for that squad.
That is a good stat line.
Takes care of the ball, at least like it seems like a decent amount. His completion percentage between 50 and 60%, which is really respectable for a quarterback. You know what I mean? At any college football level. Can certainly get it done with his feet. We just posted the announcement video on our Instagram and Twitter, so check that out. Couple good highlights of him on there. Throwing the deep ball. Got a little bit of he can sling it. He can sling the deep ball. But also, dude broke like 4 tackles in one run in one of the videos that he sent me. Like, he's got a little bit of a frame on him, too. Otherwise, though.
That was that 59-0 game.
That was what?
That was that 59-0 game. He was going nuts.
He's just
He's
running
playing
over.
against
He
everybody.
came into that game. He was on some
I don't even wait. Who that was? Gallaudet, correct?
Gallaudet.
Yeah. Oh,
It's still
that's
just
funny.
crazy. It
God
was
hope
a
we're saying that
playoff
right.
game too.
Yeah.
59-0 walking in. Imagine like seeing, we gotta play them first game. Just going into that game like, oh no.
That'd be tough. A couple of the names that he had mentioned, though, and I like hearing from these guys because they're the ones that are in the locker room every day. Like, I can only do so much research. You guys can only look at so much. Like, he's the guy that's there every day. He knows what guys are going to be the contributors. And when he said immediately, Flash Morgan, the wide receiver, 5 touchdowns, 500 yards this last year. Expect for him to have a much larger workload for them, being that true number one receiver and not splitting, I think, a lot more of those receptions. So that'll definitely be a key part of any opposing team scouting report. And then you look at, in the backfield, offensively, the running back, Jay White, 200 attempts last year. Do you know how physically durable you have to be to carry the rock 200 times in a season?
Even with, like we were talking about earlier, the playoffs games, I mean, that's 200.
Yeah, I didn't even give the yards yet. I mean, he ran for about 1,300 yards, but 200 carries.
I don't even know what that is.
Per game, you're trying to figure out,
I'm
like,
trying
how
to
much
figure out
that
my-
is? You got the calculator on your phone there?
How many games they play? 13?
We're going to find out in just a second here. Yes, 13.
He had 2.
200. Little division. And
That's 15.38 a game.
it's respectable.
That's
That's
That's a
respectable.
good. I mean, and there's got to be a running back too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he can't
There's an
take
RB too,
every
so he's not
carry.
taking every carry.
Yep. Pretty crazy stuff, dude. 200 carries is a freaking wild number. But on the defensive side of things, talk a little bit about defense. The linebackers, especially the inside guys, the guys who are coming in, knocking the running backs on their cases. Nick Chapman, Anthony Pontolio.
Did he say keisters?
Geesters.
All right, bro.
How old are you? 60?
Putting them on their ass. You happy?
Are the New Balances outside?
Shut up.
I was just asking.
Nick and Anthony, 150 tackles between the two of them, the inside linebacker core for the Aggies, both returning for this next year.
That's huge.
And
for them.
that linebacking core seems to be one of the brighter spots of that team because he told me, too, the names that we'll be hearing a lot, Darius Nichols, another linebacker, and Ahmad Jones, linebacker as well. So when I asked him, like, who are these guys that I need to know about coming back? Who should we keep our eye on? The dude damn near listed the entire linebacking core for this Delaware Valley
That's
team.
crazy. I wonder what defense they run if they have them all on the field at one time. That'd be nuts.
You've got to be utilizing them, right? There
They
has
run
to be some way
they
they
run a
utilize them.
3-5. They put all the linebackers out there.
Every single one of them. But looking, before we get into that 2023 schedule, looking at the MAC standings here for the conference, this obviously being last year, and we can take a look at that, obviously the Aggies being on top of this list, Kings College right below them, and you look, and they put the beating on Kings College, but then you're like, that was Kings College only loss in the conference.
That's kind of crazy.
They didn't lose another conference game after that. So
So-
we were saying we hadn't heard of a whole lot of these teams, but like definitely some respectable football being
there's
played.
So there's
some
either
there's some good
two-
records.
There's either two good teams, as in Kings College,
Yeah.
and
DV.
or maybe it's a better conference than we think.
Maybe we should put some respect on the MAC name.
You got
Maybe
7
they are the MACtion.
You got, no.
Maybe they should be the Maction.
You got 7-3,
They aren't the
8-3,
Maction, but they
8-3,
could be.
12-1,
Really
6-5.
impressive. Really impressive. Like those conferences and
5 and 6 in that.
Yes.
5 and 6 in that conference, and all 5 wins were all conference games.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Gallaudet University real quick?
We can totally do that. What would you like to say?
I looked it up, and it's for the education of the deaf and hard of hearing.
Oh my God! I know someone going there.
Really?
I know someone going there.
So
and he's
they-
That's
actually-
right.
I
So
know
they beat
exactly
up
where that is.
on a bunch of deaf people.
And we're gonna have to,
59-0.
you're gonna have to cut that out.
What?
Like we were all thinking it, but you didn't have to fucking say it.
I mean, come on, bro. Like
59-0. They had to run up the score, too. That's horrible.
Oh man.
okay, no, but you know
we're
what?
leaving it
Okay,
I've been
that's the
thinking
thing.
about it for like 3 minutes.
Okay,
I
but
looked it up.
I actually,
How do I bring this up?
I know someone. One of my, my mom's friends. Her son's going to play there. He's from downstate Michigan.
Okay.
And it's actually a very respectable football program.
Well, they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a
obviously,
lot of
you know what I mean?
tradition and a lot of like, if you ever watch them, like when they do like warm ups and stuff on a field, they use a gong and they feel the vibration in their feet. to like know like what to do. It's crazy. It's one of the you have to look.
Little did we know we'd have an expert on the show with us tonight. That's really
Wow.
cool though. That's really sweet.
You have to look it up. It's actually
It's in DC too. By
it's
the way.
actually somewhat
That's where the
insane. Like they
school
use like to like do plays and stuff. Obviously they have like hand signals like most colleges use nowadays.
But they're probably so good at them.
Yeah.
oh,
Are you
I
kidding me?
bet-
Their hand signals are probably on point.
Well, they're probably I mean, you can tell them what the play is. You know,
We're not gonna spell it out, but like.
Okay, we probably should move on.
I just want to bring
Either
that
way,
up.
no, that's a great point. I did not realize that. I do believe someone had commented that we should feature them, so maybe we will in a future episode.
It would be
because
really
like
cool
I
to
said,
talk
that,
about
they
that.
like the gong and they feel it. Like I've never like in my life like
that's incredible. That really is
how
really
they
cool.
hit a gong like they know like 1, 2, 3 and they know like what it is. That's insane.
Yeah, but we can move on from the conference standings, and the last look that we will have here is a look at the upcoming 2023 schedule for the Aggies. And fellas, the first game is one that we did just actually post about from the other side of things. I asked our viewers to predict State University of New York, SUNY Cortland, their record, in 2023, their first game against the Aggies. Cortland, one of the best teams in that, the Empire 8 Conference or the Liberty League or something like that. I forget what it is, but one of the best teams in that New York Conference, coming and playing the best team in the MAC to open things off at Cortland. That one's going to be very exciting, and it's kind of a tone setter, I think, for the rest of this season for DVU. Are they going to pick up right where they left off, or are there going to be some growing pains? I would assume with the amount of returners that we just talked about, this team is not going to skip a beat. But
No, I think they're going. This is going to be 6th in a row now.
number 6, can we book it right now? Can we?
Yeah.
I mean, guys,
I mean, you got King. Yeah,
order the rings now.
see, you're jinxing them. You better knock
Yeah,
some wood.
cut
for
that
them.
out.
Yeah, you're
Jinxing them. now.
Order them.
You're jinxing them.
Order them.
I'm giving. You know what? I'll make. You know, I'm gonna make a prediction. I got Kings.
You got Kings?
I got Kings.
Did you know what Kings was a half hour ago?
No, but I just saw their record up there, and I got Kings.
But some good out-of-conference games, though, in all seriousness, for the Aggies. Albright College next, and then Eastern University. They go on the road for the first 3 games. They come home versus Kings College. That is at DVU, Jack, so I don't even have to change that prediction. But 5 of their first 6 on the road for the Aggies. That's a pretty tumultuous start to the year.
What's their end of their
For
season
DVU.
look like? I bet they're like, oh no, not really.
Man,
Wow,
4
They
home
played
games.
4 home games.
Look at that. Almost their conference, at least at home. Then you talk about some playoffs potentially down here. You know if a school has all these playoffs listed
They
at the
already got
bottom,
them listed. They're like, yeah, we're going. We're in.
that's exactly what that shit
We're in.
means.
We're in. That's you know what that is? That's cocky as hell.
It
but you
is,
know what?
but it's there, bro.
That's
They got
bringing
the
it.
finals on there. They're going.
Do they have the date set on it too? They do.
pier in there.
They
I wanted
got
to see where it's at. It's in Virginia.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Salem,
yes.
Virginia.
It
Salem,
does.
Virginia.
It does say that. I did not realize that on the part.
Yep, they got it. December 15th. Be there. Be there.
December 15th. Still playing football is crazy.
That's bizarre. Bizarre.
That's all for Delaware Valley, though. Let us know. Comment on this YouTube video, whatever clip I have this in, on what other teams we should highlight.